The palace shook, the hum of royal energy shields screaming as plasma bolts slammed into the outer walls. Outside, the sky burned silver and blue. Lyra, the loyal guard, pulled Princess Eris behind a crystal pillar. "We have to escape, Princess. The Varith fleet is in the atmosphere." But Eris's brother Ethan didn't move. He was crouched on the floor, studying a broken control panel with the intense focus of a surgeon. His hands flew, pulling out glowing wires, twisting circuits, and jamming in strange blue cores that pulsed like tiny hearts. Lyra, frantic, shouted over the chaos, "What are you doing?" Ethan didn't even look up. "Buying us time." "You're just a mechanic," she snapped, her voice tight with fear. He offered a small, confident grin. "Exactly. And this whole palace runs on machines." The ground trembled again as another massive explosion shook the grand hall. Alien guards clad in ceremonial armor scrambled past them, shouting in their guttural language. Ethan grabbed a shard of metal from his jacket and jammed it into the crystal board. The lights flickered, died for a second, then flared back to life, steady and strong. "Done," he muttered, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow. Lyra stared at him, bewildered. "Done what?" Ethan just pointed upward. "You'll see." A deep, resonant rumble echoed through the air. Outside the palace, giant silver defense towers, dormant for a century, rotated with a groaning sound. They aimed their glowing tips at the invading ships. Then, bolts of pure white fire lanced through the sky, slicing the first wave of enemy fighters into nothing more than glittering dust. The alien nobles who had mocked the human mechanic now stared in utter shock. One whispered, his voice trembling, "The human. He activated the defense grid manually." Another gasped, "But that system hasn't worked in 100 years. Lyra looked at Ethan, her disbelief turning to awe. You fixed it?" He shook his head, a wry smile playing on his lips. "Didn't fix it. I rewired it. Your people build things too perfect, too fragile. I just made it imperfect enough to work again." Eris, the princess, stepped forward, her soft voice cutting through the tension. "You saved us." Ethan's eyes met hers, and they were hard as steel. "Not yet. They'll be back, and next time they'll hit a lot harder." Minutes later, the three of them stood in the palace's command chamber. A vast holographic map glowed in the center of the room, showing swarms of red dots converging on the capital. The Nivaran fleet was outnumbered 3-1. Lyra's voice trembled as she looked at the grim display. "Even with the palace defenses, we can't hold them off." Ethan stood with his arms crossed, his gaze fixed on the map. "Then we don't hold. We take the fight to them." Lyra blinked, thinking he was insane. "Probably," Ethan admitted. "But I've built human ships that fought their way through entire asteroid storms. You really think I can't handle a few shiny aliens?" A faint, knowing smile touched Eris's lips. "What do you need?" Ethan's eyes scanned the high-tech command room. "An engineering bay, all your tools, and your fastest drone fleet." Lyra hesitated, but Eris gave a firm nod. "Give him everything he wants." Hours later, deep inside the royal hangar, sparks flew like angry fireflies. Ethan stood on a floating platform, a human island in a sea of alien engineers who watched him as if he were performing some forbidden magic. He tore apart energy cores, rewired drone circuits with human-made parts, and welded armor plating together with raw plasma torches. "What is he building?" one of the engineers whispered in awe. Ethan didn't bother looking up from his work. Something that shouldn't exist. By the time he was finished, 12 silver drones hovered silently around him. They weren't elegant. Their armor was uneven. Their engines hummed with a rough, guttural power, and they glowed with a strange hybrid energy, a mix of human tech and alien power. He called them the Imperfects. "These drones don't rely on your fragile AI systems," Ethan explained, his voice echoing in the vast hangar. "They run on direct human control, on instinct, on chaos." Lyra frowned, confused. "Chaos?" Ethan's grin was sharp and dangerous. "It's what we humans do best." He climbed into a modified control seat and strapped himself in. Patch me into the skies. Outside, the battle was a symphony of destruction. Enemy ships swarmed the palace, firing from every angle. Suddenly, 12 bright streaks launched from the royal hangar, cutting across the sky in a formation that looked less like a military strategy and more like a chaotic, beautiful dance of death. In the command room, the Nivaran soldiers gasped as the drones tore through the enemy lines. They dodged plasma fire with impossible agility, weaved through explosions, and struck with a precision that defied all logic. Eris listened intently, her unique ability allowing her to feel the energy patterns around them. Through the echo waves of the battle, she could feel his heartbeat inside the control signal. Steady, brave, utterly unstoppable. He's winning, she whispered, a tear of relief tracing a path down her cheek. But Lyra wasn't smiling. She stared at the data on the screen with a dawning, cold realization. He shouldn't be able to control that many drones at once, she said softly, her voice barely a whisper. Even our best pilots can't handle more than 3. Eris tilted her head, a new fear gripping her heart. Then how is he doing it? Lyra swallowed hard, her eyes wide with a terrible understanding. Because he's not just controlling them, he's becoming them. On the screen, Ethan's vital signs spiked into the red. His neural signal was flickering, fusing with the alien network, his mind spreading through every machine he had touched, every drone he had built. He was burning his own life force as fuel to keep them all moving. "Ethan!" Eris shouted into the comms link, her voice breaking. "Stop! You'll die!" His voice came back, but it was calm, distant, like an echo from another world. "You said you see the hearts of things, right? Then tell me, how's mine look now?" Tears streamed down her face. "Bright," she whispered. "It's too bright." Outside, one final cataclysmic explosion tore across the sky. The flagship of the House of Vareth disintegrated into a silent, beautiful storm of white fire. The battle was over. The city was safe, but when the smoke cleared, the human pilot's control seat was empty. Lyra's voice shook. "He's gone. His body couldn't handle the merge." Eris pressed a hand to her chest, a faint, tearful smile on her face. "No, I can still feel him." She looked up towards the sky, her voice filled with a strange new hope. "He's part of the light now." And high above the silver sky of Nivara, 12 imperfect drones continued to circle endlessly, guarding the palace like restless, glowing spirits. They were no longer just machines. They were the human ghosts. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more tales from across the galaxy. We'll see you in the next one.